So it's been a little while since I've uploaded. I think the last video came in June, and it's now, as of the time of recording, it is September. Little bit of a break taken from the channel. Hopefully, I'm back to making regular content, and hopefully it starts with this. So this is going to be part 3 of the anime Iceberg. Just a quick warning, this is still a lot of just regular anime shows. Some of them require a bit more explanation into what they are, but for the most part, it's still just pretty ordinary anime. I'm gonna go through them as fast as I can. I'm sorry if your favorite anime is on this tier and I just kind of breeze through it. I know that the good stuff is at the bottom, and I think everyone wants to get to the good stuff. So I'm just gonna go through these as fast as I can. And this was the biggest part of the tier, just in terms of total anime. I didn't count at all, but even with my abbreviated summaries of all of them, it's the same size script as the last 2 videos, so I'm just gonna try to race through them. But before we get into that, thank you guys for being patient over the summer, and yeah, we'll just get right into it. So starting off this tier is Yuru Camp. Renshima's an independent girl who just loves the solitude of camping. One day while she's out camping, she stumbles across Nadeshiko, who's a girl lost in the woods. Since it's getting dark, she decides to let Nadeshiko stay with her, and they spend the entire night just enjoying nature together and the joys of camping. Despite how different they are, with Nadeshiko being a bit more airheaded and eccentric and Ren being more laid back, they decide to start planning more camping trips together. You just add this to the list of the super cozy, comfy shows where nothing bad is really gonna happen. It's just girls going camping. It's safe here, you don't have to worry about it. For initial D, Takumi Fujiwara is the son of a retired race car driver who delivers food for his father's tofu shop. Takumi himself doesn't care much about cars, considering how often he has to drive them for these deliveries. One day, a race team by the name of the Red Suns challenged the local race team up a mountain. After an injury to the head of the local race team, they then asked Takumi's father to come out of retirement and race for them. But Takumi, hoping to take a girl on a date, asks his father if he can borrow his car, and the only way that his father will say yes is if he defeats the Red Suns in the race. And Takumi accepts the challenge, defeating the Red Suns by using the delivery skills that he's acquired by working for his father. Released in 1998, Trigun follows the tale of Vash the Stampede, a human wrecking ball who leaves a trail of devastation and destruction behind him, earning him the title of the Human Typhoon. That does appear to be all rumors though, as Vash himself is a very wholesome man who would do anything to not harm somebody. He does his best to avoid violence and has even gotten so far to say as he's never taken a human life. Considered to be one of the best sports anime out there, Hajime no Ippo follows Makinuchi Ippo, who's been a victim basically his entire life, doing anything that his tormentors tell him to do. Of course, he doesn't want to stay like this forever, and he dreams of ways of getting back at his tormentors and finally fighting back. He gets the chance when he's saved by a boxer, and is now offered the chance to train to become one of the best boxers in the world. After Sakura Kinomoto unknowingly unleashes the dangers of a mysterious book onto the world, she is approached by the Beast of the Seal. He tells her that the book of cards that she opened contained beasts and the prisons that held them back. But now that the book's been opened, she's released these monsters onto the world, and it's now up to Sakura to help seal them all away. A film from 1995, Ghost in the Shell depicts Japan in the year 2029 when cybernetic enhancements for humans are all but common. Nihama City's public security is in charge of fighting off criminals of all varieties. Now this is the original Ghost in the Shell, based off the manga by Masamune Shiro, and not the one from 2017 that had a bunch of controversy surrounding it. Beastars is set in a world with anthropomorphic animals where violence is natural to occur. Legoshi is a wolf, a stage crew member for his school's drama club. He soon runs into Haru, a rabbit who would be, of course, prey for any natural wolf. As the events of the anime begin to unfold, including the mysterious death of one of his friends, as well as the rising controversy and the animalistic behavior around him, Legoshi also has to battle his internal conflict of his growing love for Haru, as well as the natural instinct to hunt her. For Vinland Saga, as England battles with the invading Vikings, violence and bloodshed is seemingly becoming an ordinary occurrence. While the Vikings seemingly enjoy the bloodshed, Thorfinn has set sail to hunt down Askeladd, the man responsible for murdering his father. Released back in 1986, Saint Seiya follows the Saints, warriors who can defend their goddess without the need for weaponry. Seiya himself is a skilled fighter, and just recently earned himself the title of one of Athena's saints. However, even after reaching his goal, his trials are just beginning. After Yuri is handed an awful defeat in the Grand Prix finale, he returns home to reassess his future away from skating. Though just as Yuri begins to think that he's out of the skating world entirely, one of his idols finds his videos on the internet. Not wanting to see him quit, Viktor Nikiforov, excuse me if I'm butchering that, tracks Yuri down and offers to become his mentor. This garnered a bunch of controversy with the Crunchyroll Awards because it was named the best anime of the year over shows like Mob Psycho, My Hero, and ReZero. GTO, or the Great Teacher Onizuka, follows a former Yakuza member who strives to become the best teacher in Japan. It's not as wholesome as you might think it is. It's really not as wholesome as it might sound at first, because he really just wants to find a young high schooler wife to take care of him when he's older. Though this show sounds like lighthearted comedy, it does cover topics like bullying, suicide, and harassment. For Pop Team Epic, there really is no plot. It's just two high schooler girls named Papuko and Papimi, and they do just about anything. It's hard to describe. It's based off of a very popular manga. If you're not watching the dub with the deep male voices for the main characters, you're not watching the right show. Watamote, or in English, no matter how I look at it, It's Your Fault I'm Not Popular, follows Tomoko Kuroki, who's a shut-in, who's only good at talking to other people when it comes to the characters in her video games. She dreams of being popular, as many people do, going so far as to force her brother to give her advice. She can barely talk to anybody in the real world and has awful social skills in every sense of the word. The show starts out really funny, and then 5 episodes in, you're just sad because you want something to go right for her, and it just never does. ReLife follows Kaizaki Arata, who's a man in his late 20s, who after a traumatizing experience at his job, quits and is now unable to find employment. As his parents cut him off, he seems like he's down on his luck, but is approached by a random man offering him a chance to turn back the clock 10 years and go back to high school for his senior year. For participating in the experiment, he's promised a job at the end, but he cannot reveal that he is, of course, an adult in a teenager's body. But now that he is a teenager who just wants to focus on getting the job at the end, he's constantly at odds with how he lives out this final year of his youth in this last chance to relive his high school years. But I just finished ReLife a few months ago, and I plan on doing a video about it in the future, so keep an eye out for that. A popular show in the 2010s, Deadman Wonderland follows Ganta's class as he goes to an amusement park ran by prison convicts. Though the day starts out enjoyable, the entire class is soon massacred by a mysterious man, leaving Ganta as the lone survivor, and the finger is quickly pointed at Ganta. Now forced to serve in the same sadistic prison, he now has to find a way to clear his name. Not to be confused with Aria the Scarlet Ammo, Aria the animation takes place in the 24th century, where humans have colonized Mars. The story follows the world of Aqua, and more specifically, the city of Neo Venetia. In contrast to the sci-fi setting, Neo Venetia, as you can probably guess, takes its inspiration from real-life Venice. The Aria Company offers tours via gondola, and Akari is the newest member and is now just learning the ropes. In Dororo, the samurai lord Daigo is losing control over his land, and as such makes a deal with a demon in order to gain power and continue to conquer lands. As a result, the price is his firstborn, who is born without arms, legs, eyes, ears, or even skin. Daigo throws him into a river, but is later saved by a man who gives him prosthetics. Though he doesn't have many of his senses, he trains to take down the demons who cursed him, the defeat of each granting him a body part that was taken from him in his curse. Showa Genroku, Rakugo Shinju. After a former Yakuza member is released from prison, Yotaro wants to leave his life of crime behind and instead pursue the talents of comedic storytelling. Taken under the wing of Yakumo, somebody that Yotaro looked up to while he was behind bars, he is able to begin his journey to practice the unique art form of Rakugo. Adding another gambling anime to the list, Kaiji follows Kaiji Ito, who is a man who loves nothing more than getting drunk and gambling. But after being betrayed by a friend and now owing a lot of money, Kaiji turns to illegal gambling in order to gain the cash back. Possibly one of the wildest shows I've ever watched, Shimonetta is also known as a world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist. Set in a world where Japan is known for its purity, the entire population is heavily censored, to the point where writing about or even speaking about any of these dirty topics will get you jail time. This show follows Okuma, the son of a quote, adult content terrorist. He just wants to live his life as purely as possible to abandon his father's name and attract the attention of the girl he's loved since his childhood, Anna. However, one day on a train, he meets the infamous Blue Snow. She's a terrorist inspired by Okuma's father and drags Okuma into her fight against censorship. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep into these shows because I just want to get through them and I want to get to the fun ones, but this is one that I really encourage people to watch because it's so wild and so unpredictable, and every episode you just think they're not gonna up the stakes, and then they keep upping the stakes as long as the show goes on, and it's amazing. Watch it as soon as you can. Just probably not with other people in the room. Futabi Yoshioka is the main character of Aoharu Ride. She was a popular student at the beginning of her middle school career, but after a misunderstanding with a male student, saw her friends slowly disappear one by one. Now that she's in high school, she's once again gaining popularity, but not with the soft personality she once had, but instead a new tomboy persona that she's adopted. But her plans are derailed as the boy she liked shows up at her school under a new name. In the remains of a war-torn world, Shito and Yuri are the lone survivors in a clearly brutal battle that destroyed the city. As they scavenge for food and supplies in the ruins, they wonder what the world was like before everything was destroyed, as well as trying to escape the dreary reality that they're the only two people left in the city. I appreciate C for having such a simple yet annoying name to research. Yoga is surrounded by the wealthy and elite of society, which doesn't help because he's often struggling to make ends meet. He's however given the chance to change all of that, trading his future for a chance to live among the elite and rich. Of course, Yuga accepts, being given the money that he never had, but now he has weekly matchups against the rich that he lives amongst, where money gives them power, and where losing a battle could cost you everything. Once living in a lap of luxury, the events of Akatsuki no Yona follow Princess Yona, whose life is flipped upside down once her father is assassinated. After escaping with her bodyguard, she is forced to see that the once pristine world that she thought her father ruled over is actually overrun with corruption and greed. Even amongst this realization, she's forced to begin the seemingly fruitless task of taking back her kingdom. In the events of Hokuto no Ken, Kenshiro is left for dead and now finds himself on a journey to hunt down those who betrayed him, as well as rescuing his fiancée. While his fighting style does allow him to defend himself, it also attracts the attention of much stronger, more powerful opponents. For the events of Barakamon, Seishu Honda is a calligrapher who has a bit of an ego and loses his cool when somebody calls him unoriginal. As a result, he's sent away from his luxury home in Tokyo and sent to an island far away from the luxuries he knew in the city. It's here that he has to use his surroundings, both in nature and the people he meets, to develop his own original art style. After an accident, Miho Nishizumi has decided to retire from the sport of Senshado, or the sport of using World War II tanks in elimination-style combat. She transfers to Urai Academy, whose team has been disbanded. However, with the lure of upcoming championships on the horizon, several members of the school force Miho to help revive the Senshado program. 5 students at Yamaboshi Academy are unable to find a club to go to after school, leading them to found the STUCS, or the Student Cultural Society. However, their days of normal high school come to an end, as 2 members of the team inexplicably trade bodies for a short period of time. Now forced to stay close to the members of the group as to prevent their secret from getting out, they are now forced to experience reoccurring phenomena. This in turn leads to some of their darkest secrets being exposed. I do plan on making a video about Kokoro Connect in the future, since it's one of my favorite shows, so again, keep an eye out for it. For YuYu Hashika, Yusuke is a 14-year-old boy who spends his time making trouble and getting into fight with others. Though he isn't as bad of a person as he seems on the surface, he does battle with constant self-loathing and anxiety. He loses his life saving a child from a car, and is touched when he sees how many people would actually miss him if he passed away. He's given a second chance at life, but not before being tasked with befriending or defeating any demon that would threaten the land of the living. Kekkai Sensen, or Blood Blockade Battlefront, tells the story of humans and the supernatural beings that live alongside each other in the remains of what once was New York City. Leonardo Watch was given the all-seeing eyes of God at a cost of his sister's vision, and he travels to Hell Salem's lot to hopefully find answers to help her. But of course, that's not without having to face the beasts that have been released into the city. After Sagiri Izumi becomes the stepsister of her now older brother Masamune, the two lose their parents in a tragic accident. This tragedy hits Sagiri hard, and she locks herself inside of her room, away from her brother and society as a whole. Masamune himself manages to earn a living while writing, and soon finds out that the artist behind his adult drawings is actually his younger sister Izumi. Also, a warning, Eromanga Sensei and Oraimo were made by the same person, so I'm sorry in advance. Released back in 1996, Rurouni Kenshin tells the story of a dangerous assassin. However, he didn't go missing. Instead, he wished to drop the title of assassin and atone for his sins. He vows to never kill again and instead spends his time protecting the innocent. After being saved from the streets of New York by the Mafia, Ash Lynx begins his investigation into the mysterious banana fish, a word that his brother has been muttering to him since his return from the Iraq War. But as he begins his search for answers, the godfather of the Mafia that took Ash in kidnaps his friends, leaving him to both save them and figure out just what this banana fish could be hiding. After tragedy strikes Mashiro's life, he gives up his dream of becoming a mangaka in order to become a businessman to have a more reasonable goal. However, when his classmate, an aspiring writer, finds his drawings, he tries to convince him that they should work together. Thinking this is an opportunity to have his crush talk to him more, Mashiro takes the opportunity to create a manga with his classmate, in hopes that the adaptation will lead for an opportunity for the girl he likes to voice act in it. In Usagi Drop, after the death of his grandfather, Daikichi returns home to pay his respects, only to find out that there's a little girl there. This turns out to be his grandfather's illegitimate daughter. The entire family has shunned her as an embarrassment, leading to Daikichi taking her in and raising her as his own daughter. Not to be confused with Grand Blue. Grand Blue follows Iori Kitahara as he moves to a coastal town in order to begin his college career. He takes residence above his uncle's scuba diving shop, only to find his college experience derailed by the drunken members of the scuba diving club. Growing tired of his parents' high demands, Yugo Hachiken decides to enroll in an agricultural school in the countryside to get away from his parents' lofty expectations. This doesn't go as planned, as Hachiken is quickly singled out as the amateur amongst the other students who have clearly been doing this their entire lives. And for Asobi Asobase, Olivia is a foreign girl that will often play games with one of her classmates, Hanako Honda. Their antics attract the attention of Kasumi, a girl who is teased for not being able to ever really win games. The three eventually form a club where they can regularly get up to their hijinks. Another anime that just thinks it's so cute having one letter as its name. The Kings are people who have been blessed with supernatural powers. After a member of the Red Clansmen is assassinated, the fingers point to an innocent Yashiro, who has his head painted as a target. After a quartet of friends win a tournament in their childhood, they all go their separate ways, only to reconvene in high school. However, Rin has no interest in restoring things to how they were, and instead only cares about beating Haruka to prove he's the better swimmer. Even after this reunion, the team will still need one more member if they want to form a proper club at their school. The story of Golden Time follows Banri Tada, a man who is struck with amnesia and can't remember anything about his past. But instead of trying to remember, he simply embraces his new life as he goes off to college. But soon he meets Koko Kaga, and he soon begins to rediscover his past. In Kimi no Todoke, Sadako Kuronuma has earned an unfortunate nickname of Sadako for her resemblance to the girl from the Ring series. This makes people think that she's scary and intimidating like the character they think she is. But as she struggles to make friends, she finds herself attracted to the most popular boy in school. Now she wants to find a way to ditch her unfortunate nickname and reputation, and become more like the boy she's attracted to. When Rocky's village is destroyed by a demon, a mysterious woman comes and saves his life. This claymore helps to fight off the demon, and since it's already claimed the lives of his family, Rocky decides to join her as they journey to destroy every demon they can. I can't really say much about Interspecies reviewers because it'll get the video taken down, so just know it's about monster girls in brothels and a group of guys who go around raiding all of them after taking the inhabitants of these places on nice, wholesome romantic dates for dinner and movies. When an all-girls school begins accepting male students, the first 5 guys to enroll are only interested in spying on the girls. They devise a plan to spy on some of the girls bathing, but are quickly caught and embarrassed before being sentenced to prison within the school itself. Now they're forced to endure a month-long sentence among the underground student council. Awakening to her psychic powers, the story of Shinsekai Yuri follows Saki Watanabe as she's finally able to attend Sage Academy. However, trouble begins to arise as she begins to wonder what happens to those whose powers never awaken, and she begins to uncover the secrets that lie in the shadows. Another side note, my friend has been telling me to watch the show since we were in high school, and I still haven't done that, so oops. For Achikochi TV, Sumiki harbors romantic feelings for her friend Otonashi, but has no idea how to tell him. Otonashi himself is oblivious to the signs that his friend is giving him, even though he's particularly soft and gentle towards her. The show simply follows Sumiki's drive to tell Otanashi how she feels about him. Also, keep Achikochi in mind, it's gonna be relevant again later on in the Iceberg. Tagaki-san is a little weird because I think it's a typo on Takagi-san, which is a show about Nishikata and his classmates Takagi, who constantly teases him. I keep looking up Tagaki-san, and I just keep finding stuff that relates back to Takagi-san. I found like a mistranslated Spanish version of the manga, which calls it Tagaki-san instead of Takagi-san. If I find anything else on this, I'll let you guys know, but for now, we're just gonna keep moving. City Hunter is a contractor group with no job that is too big nor small when it comes to taking down the criminals of their city. Ryo Saiba is deadly with his cult python and will take down anyone from pickpocketers to drug lords. Japan keeps thinking they're cute with these one-letter titles. B focuses on the island of Cremonia, where a vigilante by the name of Killer B hunts down those criminals that the justice system won't. When a seasoned detective by the name of Keith Flick is brought onto the case to discover and stop Killer B, he begins to discover the deeper, even darker plots lying beneath the island. An anime consisting entirely of short episodes, Ahu Girl follows Yoshiko, a girl without very much brain power at all, who always harasses her childhood friend. With Yoshiko often flying off the rails, it's up to Akuru to help keep her in check and quite literally beat some sense into her. For Toilet Bound, every school has its urban legends. This one school in particular tells the tale of Hanako-san, a ghost that haunts the school bathrooms. When a girl looking for romance summons the ghost forward, it turns out that the ghost rumored to be a girl is actually a boy. The story then follows the two as they try to help solve the issue of her inability to find a romantic partner. One school was created alongside the technology to create automatons, or mechanical dolls capable of militaristic combat. After Raishin fails his school entrance exams, he and his automaton have to defeat hundreds of students in order to participate in the Evening Party, a tournament for dolls and their puppeteers. In Plastic Memories, Tsukasa has landed a job at Psycor. This company is responsible for the creation of advanced intelligent robots who have a lifespan of 9 years and 4 months. His station in particular is responsible for the collection of these giftas who are past their expiration. When they expire, they lose their memories or are prone to going rogue. Katsuhira is a boy who has no sense of pain. One day, Katsuhira, his best friend, and best girl, as well as a few other troubled teams, are formed into the Kizuna system. This forces them to be linked together. If one person experiences pain, that pain is felt throughout the entire group. This system forces them to reveal the deepest parts of themselves, including the secrets that they didn't want anybody else to know. Angelo Lagusa has had everything taken from him by the Mafia. He leaves his hometown with nothing holding him back, only to return under the name of Bruno. He has returned with one purpose in mind, to seek revenge on the man who took the lives of his family, and he starts by befriending the Godfather's son himself. In Azumanga Daioh, Shio is the youngest member of her high school class, a 10-year-old prodigy. But she's far from the strangest person in her school. She soon makes friends with some of the other oddballs in her freshman class, and they go through freshman year regardless of the ups and downs that come with it. And Ajin is an immortal human with immense power, but since they are seen as a threat to the rest of humanity, they are often imprisoned to help keep the rest of humanity safe. Kei Nagai knows basically nothing about these beings, aside from what the news reports on them whenever they are arrested. That is until he experiences an accident that should claim his life, and thus beginning his life as one of these unkillable creatures. In their final year of junior high, Kotaro and Akane end up in the same class. Those strangers, the buddings of young love, soon push the two together. However, they soon discover that love is not as simple as romantic novels will make it out to be. Growing up in the shadow of her older sister, Chihaya is perfectly content with what she has in life. That is until one day she meets Arata Wataya. He introduces her to the card game known as Karuta, which she is quickly encapsulated by. And now she strives to create a competitive Karuta team full of members who share as much passion for the game as she does. The game that made me want to throw up, and the adaptation that almost did. A group of high schoolers gather at their high school in order to say goodbye to one of their friends. They perform a ritual using a charm, unknowing that it is linked to the haunted past of their school. Now these students are forced to escape from the haunted past of their school, which involved the brutal and gruesome murders of 3 students. And if they don't escape in time, they are forced to suffer a similar gruesome death to those students before them. Literally the exact opposite of Corpse Party comes Senko-san. Karuto is always stressed out by his everyday life. Living alone, he has to work and also take care of himself, leading to a lot of anxiety building up inside him. Worried that this stress can ruin his life, a fox deity by the name of Senko comes and promises to help take care of him to help relieve that stress. Kotonowa no Niwa, or in English, A Garden of Words, is a movie created by Makoto Shinkai. You may have recognized his name as the creator of Your Name. Also, I made a video about him here. but I didn't really go too deep into A Garden of Words, which is a shame because it's a beautifully animated and written film. Takao is an aspiring shoemaker who one day, while skipping school, meets a lady as they're both taking cover from the rain. The two meet in the same spot every day, and they grow closer in each passing time. However, where the two are in their lives may not allow this budding romance to blossom. Nana Komatsu is a bit of a hopeless romantic. She's a bit over-clingy to those that she's close to. She wants to remove herself from where she is in life, and in doing so, decides to travel with her boyfriend to Tokyo. Meanwhile, Nana Osaki is a rock singer with aspirations to make it big. The two have a chance meeting on the train to Tokyo, and soon their relationship grows into something much deeper. Sword Art Online, Season 3! Excel World focuses on the life of an overweight middle schooler by the name of Haruyuki who spends his free time playing video games. However, when the vice president of the student council starts besting him in his favorite video games, and she introduces him to an item that allows him to escape into an augmented reality fighting game. This system forces him to duel other players for permission to continue using it. In Orange, one day Naho Takayama finds a letter addressed to herself from 10 years in the future. This letter details events that will happen to her in this upcoming year. While she's obviously skeptical of it at first, the events begin to line up, and Naho's future self's only hope to correct the regrets she has in life is that her past self will correct the mistakes that she couldn't. I don't know if the plot for Plastic Nissan does it any justice. It's about 3 girls in the model club who just make plastic models of stuff, but the show is like way more wild than that. If you've ever seen the gif of like the girl slamming the other girl's head into the wall, or the dude who just like busts the bra off of his chest, that's the show. For Izoken, Midori is a girl who always keeps her sketchbook on her, drawing landscapes and architecture that run through her imagination. However, her friend Sayaka helps to keep her grounded in reality to some extent. One day, the two meet Tsubame as she's escaping from her bodyguard. She turns out to be a young model with similar aspirations to Midori, except her talent is drawing people instead of landscapes. With the common interest in mind, the trio then decide to form the school's animation club in order to create their own animation. Taking place in 1955, Rainbow follows Mario as he and a group of inmates arrive at a prison to serve their sentence. While they endure the embarrassment and harassment that comes with their charges, the group decides that they will endure this as best they can in order to live better lives once they serve their time. In a world where Mafia's assassinations are commonplace, Phantom tells the tale of the Mafia's most dangerous weapon in their arsenal, known as the Phantom. One day, an innocent bystander witnesses one of these crimes and is tracked down and robbed of his memories. He is then brainwashed and forced to be a puppet for more of the crimes of the same nature. March Comes In Like a Lion covers the story of an experienced shogi player named Rei Akiyama. Now, although an elite talent, he struggles with the pressure of being such a good player. That is, until he meets a trio of sisters who are all determined to help him return to his ordinary life. In doing so, Rei discovers that these sisters all have trauma of their own, and he is forced to discover just how to reopen himself to the world. Sato Matsuzaka is known for being rather promiscuous with men. She's never really been in love. That is, until she meets Shio Kube. The two then start living together under the guise of saying that they just live with family. Despite their rather innocent appearance, the two would do anything to preserve their, quote, happy sugar life. For more than a decade, the world of Mayo has experienced war between humans and demons. Wanting the bloodshed to end, the hero goes directly to the demon queen herself. He finds that she is out looking for him as well. Though the hero seeks to end the war, the queen insists that the world is only benefiting from it. That leaves the two trying to find a way to both spare lives and allow their world to flourish. A girl by the name of Sekai finds out that her classmate, Makoto, has a crush on another classmate named Kotonoha. Instead of embarrassing Makoto with his secret, Sekai instead insists that she will help Makoto confess to Kotonoha. I'm willing to bet it's much more than that, and that most of the people watching this video probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Yukino is a popular girl who is seemingly good at everything. She secretly strives to be so that she can continue to be the center of attention. She's bested only by one other person, the male class rep, Soichiro. However, when she bests him in an exam, he doesn't only congratulate her, but confesses love to her. Yukino turns him down, but their relationship doesn't end there. Soichiro reveals that he has a CD showing what Yukino is really like, and blackmails her into doing all of his classroom duties, therefore bringing the two closer. A short 6-minute animation, Shelter takes place in the far-off year of 2539. Rin has no recollection of her past, and has no way to contact other people. She's able to create a new world to cure her boredom whenever she pleases, only to stop her from realizing how truly lonely she is. Another personal favorite of mine, Bakano takes place in 1930s Chicago, as well as on the transcontinental train known as the Flying Pussyfoot. Among the passengers contain a group of characters with stories seemingly unrelated to each other. That is, until each of these main characters in their own stories begin to collide, merging all of these separate tales into one. Fooly Cooly follows the tale of a seemingly normal 6th grader by the name of Naota Nandaba, who lives in a city where nothing amazing ever seems to happen. He's left to take care of everything his brother left behind when he went to play baseball in America, including his ex-girlfriend. But his life is seemingly turned upside down as he literally runs into Haruko Haruhana. Suddenly his life is turned into one of pure and total chaos. Fooly Cooly is such a fantastic show, and it's such a good coming-of-age story, and I've been meaning to do a video on it for the longest time, breaking down the music and everything, sort of like what I did with the Toradora video. There are a select few shows that if you wanted to make a collection and just put together the best shows that anime had to offer, Fooly Cooly would have to be included in that. It just gives you such a sense of nostalgia, even if you didn't watch it when it first came out back in the 2000s. It's a really special and influential piece of media that everyone should experience at least once. Moving on, Panty and Stocking are two angels who have been kicked out of heaven for misbehaving. Led by the priest known as Garterbelt, they have to literally buy their way back into heaven, but could seem less interested in doing so as they're more interested in sleeping with anything with a pulse and stuffing their face with sweets. One thing I found funny was that I found this quote of the show while I was looking up the summary, and it says that, quote, "The show is so good, it might kill you by the time it's done. Gainax has made something that can fall under the definition of autoerotic asphyxiation." Moving on, for Black Bullet, in the year 2021, a virus has infected humanity and can turn people into monsters. The surviving population is quarantined behind walls that can keep the beasts and virus out. The weapons that can be used to combat these monsters come in the form of cursed children, or those born with trace amounts of the virus inside of them. An initiator, as they're called, is paired with a promoter, and they are sent on missions to hunt these monsters in order to keep humanity safe. Dorohedoro focuses on the whole, a magic city in which magic users can use and abuse those below them to help train their magic. While the innocent people are killed in the hole without repercussion, one man by the name of Kaiman sets out to get answers on his reptile-like form. All he wants is to return to normal, but that of course won't be easy when he has to face the enemies inside of the hole. BNA, or Brand New Animal, tells the tale of the Beastmen, a species that can take on animalistic traits. Because of this, they were forced to reside inside of Anima City, far away from humans who have oppressed them. Michiru Kagimori was an ordinary girl who one day woke up in the form of a tanuki, and she then travels to Anima City to hopefully find a way to turn back. Gems are the name of those beings who bear resemblance to gemstones in appearance. They are tasked with defending themselves and others from those who wish to hunt them and use them for decoration. Foss wants to help in the war, but is relegated to research because of her fragile form. Land of the Lustrous shows Foss and their new friend Cinnabar as they hope to help the war effort in any way they can. In a terraformed Mars, AI advancements have made living life a luxury. Carol is a keyboardist who works part-time, while Tuesday is a wealthy runaway who wants nothing more than to pursue a future with her acoustic guitar. The two meet and decide to attempt to challenge the AI singers of Mars, hoping the emotion in their music can help them achieve their dream. When I watched this opening, it might have been the most stylistic anime opening I've ever seen. Just the way everything looks like a moving painting, and the way the music is composed, and all the people in the background. It looked like an art project. I just have to give that like a lot of credit because it was incredible. I thought it was beautiful, and I think that the show deserves much more recognition than it gets. When the king of Pars is betrayed in the middle of their war with the country of Lusitania, the young prince Arslan is now forced on the run. Arslan now seeks a way home, but the neighboring kingdoms that all want a piece of the pie that is the fallen nation all pose a great threat to the prince. And finally, the last entry on the list is Shiki. Megumi Shimizu wanted a luxurious life in the city, but that all changes with her death that brings upon an epidemic to the small village she lives in. Megumi's death hits Natsuno Yuki hard, and is forced to team up with the town's doctor to fight this plague that is seemingly turning the dead into vampires. But thankfully, that's the end of the tier. I want to apologize for this taking so long. I was very busy outside of YouTube, and I really wanted to work on these videos, but things really didn't offer me a chance to. But I'm back to making them. I want to make them as often as possible. I want to finish this list. I want to get back to the analysis that I would make. I have a few ideas in mind that I want to do with that. But for now, thank you guys for watching this far into the video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below. I do have a Twitter if you guys want to keep up with me or just talk to me that way. I know it takes a while for me to get new videos out, especially recently, but the way I've seen like the reactions, it seems like it's sort of worth the wait, I guess. So I really appreciate the feedback you're giving me, and I appreciate how much you guys are helping the channel grow. I mean, when I put out the first video, I had like 30 subscribers. Now I have 80, and I know it's not much in like the grand scheme of YouTube, but I think it's super cool that I'm close to 100. It's really cool, I think, that I'm close to 100 people that want to regularly see my content. Thank you guys so much again, and I'll see you in the next video.